My name is Lance Mitchell. The company is Mitchell Interflex Limited, and we work from a mill called County Brook Mill. We're on the old Lancashire-Yorkshire border between Skipton and Colne, effectively, are the two main places that people will know. We're a weaving company with a finishing site as well, where we raise and emerize and crop, but on this site where we're sitting today, in the old mill, we're a weaving company. We operate Dornier rapier looms. We've been here, well, as a family, we've been here since 1907. The mill has been here significantly longer. The mill dates back to the late 1780s, early 1790s, the oldest bit, the old water-powered bit, which is the bit that I'm sitting in as we speak. So yeah, we've been around a long time. We weave a multitude of fabrics, from interlinings through to industrials, through to furnishings, through to some fabrics for apparel, medical trade. Just we're very hard to pin down. We're difficult to compartmentalize into our particular sphere. It's like textiles. Textiles is a broad church and used everywhere, and we weave fabrics that go into lots and lots of different marketplaces.
What are some of the processes that have you continued that are much the same as they have been, and what are the kind of newer developments that you've got there?
Well, the thing about weaving, somebody once said to me that weaving's not very complicated. All we do is cross threads at 90 degrees. I thought that was a bit rude, to be honest, because I mean the weaving process itself hasn't changed for millennia, has it? It is that basic process. Fibers change, technology changes, finishes change. We're weaving fibers today that weren't conceived 20 years ago. So on the technical side, we do weave, some aramids and high tenacity nylons, but we still weave traditional wools, cottons. We weave throws in lamb's wool. We weave silk scarves. We weave all sorts of things.
You used to weave a huge amount of deck chair fabric, didn't you? And I think that our recent canvas fabric is almost like a move on from the deck chair quality that we're now using as an apparel quality, which I think is the connection with the heritage.
What are some of the things that you sort of around sustainability and those kind of areas? What are you doing at the moment to address some of those issues? Because those are the big topics that people are wanting to talk about.
They do seem to be the big topics. Difficult to pin those down again on in terms of sustainability. I mean, if you argue that using natural fibers is more sustainable than using synthetics, we're using recycled fibers where we possibly can, not always possible.
I think first and foremost, we source and work with people in our process who are local. So we try and source and use finishers and yarn dyers who are local, if at all possible. So we try and keep our carbon footprint down. We're buying yarns which are sustainable, have sustainable credentials. And within the mill, we're working, on everything we possibly can to keep our own footprint as small as possible.
But in terms of sustainability, as Liz said, if you procure nearer to home, then that in itself is one huge step towards sustainability. Yeah. And then if we're working nearer to home, then the rules and regulations that our textile industry have to work under are vastly different to if you are dyeing yarns or fabrics in the Far East. Then the environmental impact that we have in this country is significantly less than happens in the Far East. We're not allowed to pollute. We don't pollute. We have to use more environmentally friendly processes. We have to use less energy because we wouldn't be economic if we didn't. So, one of the biggest contributions to me to being sustainable is buy things nearer to home. And if the NHS were doing that on a more regular basis and targeted basis, then partly we wouldn't be in the mess that we're in terms of trying to source PPE. And at least we would know that the people that are wearing the PPE, it's been made paying proper wages and living wages in this country.
Tell me about some of your more recent collections. What are you working on at the moment then? Because obviously you've got the County Brook brand.
Again, it's quite varied as a mill because we do so many different fibres. I mean, it's quite nice as a designer to get the opportunity. So we've got a new range of canvases, which are suitable for jacketings, but also we feel they could be also good for accessories, you know, luggage and things. So we've got a nice range, again, dyed locally, woven and finished locally. So, you know, it's just the cotton that's not local. So, you know, that chain is good. We've also got some textures that we're using for wool coatings in wools and linens. And then we obviously do interiors and throws. So we have a huge range of wool throws, and then textures, just playing around with some at the moment. So we've got some, this is the canvas, which we're going to do in probably do in about approximately 10 colours. And then we've just been playing around with different textures, because I think what we'd like to do is try and maximise our different uses. So things that could also go as coatings could also be used for interiors. So that's what we're working on at the moment.
And we work on bespoke commissions for individual customers. So we do work with various designers that come along with a design brief themselves. We've worked with a company called Wallace Sewell for many years that we do their throws and scarves. We've worked with other people like Eleanor Pritchard and woven for them. So we are a very versatile mill. So yes, we've got some of our own collections, but we'll also work on bespoke projects with people as well.
How would sort of newer designers or people with small quantities, how easily can you work with smaller quantities more?
It's always difficult in this game working on smaller quantities. We always say we can do any small quantity. It just comes at a price, and it's the cost of setup. Those designers have to talk to the mills, and they have to come along with their clear ideas as to what they're wanting to do, with almost a fully formed project themselves. But most mills that you talk to, any young designers that want to talk to mills, we're usually very good at just sharing information and explaining how to do things. What you're not allowed to do as a young designer is come along and ask all the questions, how do I do this, how do I do it, when they haven't done any research or put any thought process into it themselves.
What do you think is important to some of the customers that you work with? What about UK manufacturing, sort of British? What makes you stand out as a British manufacturer with some of the customers, or what's important to them?
I think important to them is building the relationship between the customer and the mill. Our versatility and our openness in listening to ideas as to what people want to do. We've had some, you know, I was going to say wacky, not quite wacky, but we've worked on some interesting projects over the years that initially looked very, very difficult and complicated. But we've used, in our time here, we've used a lot of fibers. We've woven everything from high tenacity filaments through to monofilaments through to natural fibers. So we've got a very wide skill set in terms of what we're capable of doing. The only thing we don't do here as a mill is jacquards, but we work the dobbies hard in terms of the variation and the flexibility in terms of what we expect the looms to be able to do.
What about markets? Where are kind of key markets for you?
For the other side of the business, and not the finishing side, key markets for us are still interlinings. So we do a lot of brushed cotton. So brush cottons, even down there, we do some throws and things. So in the raising factory, that's important to us. Traditionally, we would have been known as many years ago, we were probably known as an interlining supplier. So traditionally, we've done chest canvases, so apparel interlinings, haircloths that were all shrunk in Yorkshire. So we still do one or two of those. We still do some fabrics that are blends of wool and camel and goat, traditional haircloth interlinings. Now we're looking at furnishing ranges, and always been told by the rest of the team that not to compartmentalize. So we do some canvas fabrics that I've always thought had one outlet, only to be pointed out to me that actually they're useful for all other fabrics from apparel and can be used in apparel. So we are supplying apparel manufacturers with cotton canvases and colour woven fabrics. And then with the industrial side, so we still do some fabrics that go into filtration, some fabrics that go into the medical trade, just substrates that are used in composites that go and get rubber coated. So a wide range of fabrics.
What about geographically? Is much of what you do in the UK, or is it?
We are exporting. We probably export sort of 30% of what we do at this moment in time. It fluctuates. Historically, we've done, again, interlinings. We used to do a lot of tie interlining, and we still export tie interlining to the continent for some of the best fashion houses that are around. So we still supply interlinings to the likes of Hermes and people. So that we do export. We're still probably pretty much 70% focused on the UK at this moment in time.
And what about some of the people? So presumably you've had some people who've worked with you a very long time, but newer skills as well.
It's fairly common within our industry is that our industry is getting old. We still have the challenge of enticing a younger element to come and work within the textile industry. Again, the UKFT appreciates as well, I know, that as an industry we don't have a good reputation particularly, and in this area of Lancashire and Yorkshire, this particular area of East Lancashire is an engineering area particularly focused on aerospace. So for us to attract young people into our industry is still difficult. Obviously, we've got skills of those people that have been with us a long time, and they've adapted their skills as we've gone on. Modernization comes into it. You know, we've got modern equipment that in some ways de-skills it slightly. You know, we've had very skilled staff here in the past that could draw in by hand and pin by hand, and some of those jobs have been automated. But yes, we have to get, as an industry as a whole, not just here at County Brook, as an industry as a whole, we have to work out as to how we're going to attract young people into our trade. My argument is they should come and work in the mill and get those skills rather than go and be a barista or go and flip burgers somewhere.
What exactly our message really? What do you think characterises the British textile industry then? Why would someone, what's good about it?
Quality, skill, I think, you know, communication. I think that's, I mean, I feel like we have had quite a few inquiries during COVID. I think people are obviously taking the time out, rethinking, but we've had lots of interest from people that specifically want UK made fabric, which is absolutely great, because like you said, they can get in the car, not at the moment obviously, and come and visit. I mean, and we love showing people around this mill because it's a beautiful mill, and just to share the variety of options. You know, we love listening to people. We like to try and, you know, we're up for innovation. I mean, you've done a lot of innovative things in the mill, haven't you, Lance, over the years? And we're always there. We're not sat at, we don't just do one thing. So that, I think people are looking for that now. They're looking for new things, how they can take traditional and mold it into something new. And that's, I think as a nation, I think we're great at that. We're innovative, and I think textiles have been at the fore of that for years, haven't they?
I think we're innovative as well in the use of fibres. We geographically we sit on the old Lancashire Yorkshire border, so we're neither a cotton mill, nor we're not a worsted mill or a woolen mill, but we have woven all of those things in our time. So we bring for Mitchell Interflex, and the variety of fibres and the constructions that we've woven in the past give us a wealth of knowledge in terms of various uses of fabrics as to where these fabrics can go and end up being used.
Certainly, from my perspective, I'm been in the wool business all my life, really, all my working life, and coming to the cotton side, it's a whole new world.
Yeah.
And that to me is the beauty of textiles. You're doing something different every day. You know, you're working with beautiful products, beautiful yarns, and it's just no 2 days are ever the same, which I'm sure they are in many jobs. So that keeps me in textiles.
What do you think the future holds for you as a company? Where do you see some of the newer opportunities?
I'm still enthused. I still think there are lots of opportunities out there. As we've already said, textiles and woven textiles is a huge industry in itself, and the end users that go from Formula One cars, you know, that monocoque of a Formula One car is a woven product, through to the Wimbledon roof. You know, when they close that roof at Wimbledon, that's a woven product. So there's a wide scope of where woven textiles end up. So there's certainly a lot of sectors in the marketplace to look at. There is definitely more interest in UK textiles than there has been. That seems to have been growing over the last 4 or 5 years, I suppose, but there is definitely more interest in having things made nearer to home. So that's got to open some doors, and we've got to work out how we get people down our lane. We're down a country lane to come to the mill and appreciate what it is that we can do. There are a lot of market sectors that we can look at. Textiles will always be required. You know, as an industry, we will always require textiles, and we know there's a part for us to play in that. There will be different textiles going forwards. You know, I am told, but I don't know, that, you know, the next generation of batteries might be based on a woven product. So there's a lot of marketplace out there to go chasing.
I think because we do such a huge variety of fabrics that, and we were saying earlier, that can lend themselves to different uses, we've now been looking at the fabrics we make, because we don't actually produce a set collection every year. It's almost like it evolves and we expand. So we have some core qualities. So we've got a canvas which we've done over the years, but we've actually really taken the plunge to say, right, people seem to like this, we're going to do a collection of 10 colours. So this fits in with, we also think workwear is a really interesting area, and because we do some heavier weight cotton canvases with a dry handle, these can lend themselves to apparel as well as luggage. So we've got a story where we've got some linens and cottons where we've got, this was traditionally a ticking quality, and I think again it could be a really nice jacketing. So we've got also, moving along, we've got a coating sort of area where we've got heavier qualities that could lend themselves for furnishings as well as coatings, and we've got a mix of cottons, wools, linens, from felted wools to a very lightweight gabardine. I think that's what's quite unique about it, that we can go from really heavy boiled wools, as some people call them, to these really lightweight gabardines that we've done for the high street in the past. And then again, we've got the canvases sat in amongst all the heavier qualities. And we can also do the cotton back with raise. We've got the ability, because we've got a raising factory, that we can raise surfaces. We can do a two-sided coating, so one side's really looks tweedy, and the back could be raised so it's soft to touch, but it would need a lining. And then we've got the jacketings where we've got you know, we don't have a huge amount, but we have the ability. My background is also wool, so we're used to doing tweeds that we then can sort of move into the cottons, wool, through to again the canvas, and some sort of trousering weights in 100% cotton, and then we can also raise that to give it a really nice emerized finish. And then we've got accessories, so we do a lot of throws, again in a variety of, I mean, the wool's great because obviously people always want the softness, but again, some of the qualities can lend sort of we can have a two-sided cotton back with a wool face. We tend to work with people have obviously, they follow the colour stories, but they also have their own markets that have their own colour choices. So we're used to, you know, doing a neutral palette, or we can do a bright story. We can mix it up. That's what's great. We kind of like to work with people on collections. So that.
You mentioned you were from a wool background. How did you get where you are today?
So I started doing furnishing for 10 years in wool, which was great because it was jacquard experience. So it gave me the whole ability, you know, the chance to do all these amazing designs. So I did that for 10 years, and that was purely high-end furnishings that were mainly UK and America. And then I moved to a woolen mill. So I've gone from a worsted to a woolen mill. So that was quite a shock at first. But again, great learning curve. It was all dobby. So it was back to square one. But I learned all about designing, about weight and handle, the jacketing, coatings, ladies wear. So then my next step was moving here. So it's just really great because I feel I can use all that experience from different markets. And now at this mill, which has got even more opportunity because of the cotton side, that, you know, I do tend to blur things, and I've never been sort of down one lane. You know, I think that could be great as an apparel, or it could be great as, you know, I've been lucky, really, had some great experience, great places to work.
Yeah, it sounds an interesting career, and like you say, lots of variety. You're not doing the same thing every day.
And cotton is a whole new ball. I've learned a huge amount in the cotton industry as well.
We haven't even got her onto the filament work yet.
Yeah, I was going to say, it sounds like there's a whole other ball game to play with. Yeah, that opens various doors. Yeah. Okay.